All right, so this session is going to be chaired by Brigadier P.S. Ramesh, a veteran Army officer. Let's have a huge round of applause. Can we have you on the stage, sir? Okay, so the topic would be fostering technological exchange, India and global innovation under Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists. So, first up, we have Sri Sahil Das, founder, Dates Metron LLP. Okay, he's there. Give it up for him, everyone. Next is Shri Neeraj Sahai, Director External Relation Global Skills Park, Government of MP. Keep it going for everyone. Next up, once again, I would like to call you on stage, ma'am, Squadron Leader Prerna Chaturvedi, veteran military aviator, for the panel discussion. Here. Next up is Group Captain Dr. R.K. Narang, VM retired Senior Fellow, Manohar Parikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. Next, Shri Sumit Katyal, MD, Asim Navigation India Private Limited. And lastly, we have Shri Mohammad Anas, founder and CEO, Enlot Private Limited. So let's have a huge round of applause for the entire panel. Over to you people now. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last event of the day, and perhaps very important one. And with me is a distinguished set of panelists. So, without much ado, in fact, we have already had a brief introduction about them, but I would like each one of them to introduce themselves before we move on.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mohammad Anas, founder and CEO of Inord. At Inord, we are making AI-1S drones for inspection surveillance, and we are working on indigenization as well. Particularly, reason we are into this, I'm into this panel of Atmanirbharta and indigenization discussion. We are approximately 3.5 years old company. We are based out of Delhi, and we are already working with defense and air force. We are into Meher Baba, one of the competition of air force for swarm drones. Yeah, this is a brief of Inord. Thank you.
नमस्कार मेरा नाम सुमित कट्याल आई एम मोर देन 2 decades old entrepreneur in the field of geospatial studies, and we provide the solutions related to geospatial industry, GPS, DGPS systems, and all these things. We are doing it from more than last 2 decades when it was a negative import list item. Introduction will take a lot of time because in these more than 2 decades of time बहुत कुछ सीखा है, बहुत कुछ देखा है, तो इंट्रोडक्शन बहुत लंबा हो जाएगा. So I will move further. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Neeraj Sahai. Uh, while currently I am not from drone industry directly, but I spent quite a good time with the drone industry, working with the first UTM, and then previously I was working with the CTO in the newest Sky Ratan India group. I have the unique experience of working in the DRDO and the private company, government, and the startups. So I also have 25 years of experience. So I will like to keep myself focused on this topic, Atmanirbhar. So I have some my view which I will share during the discussion.
I'm Sahil Das, founder of Dates Metron LLP. Uh, I have done an honest effort to make a LiDAR an Indian LiDAR, and trying to get that up and running for various use cases. Currently, we are not on drones, but we'll soon will be. Right, so that's my introduction. Sorry.
Good evening. I'm veteran squadron leader Prerna, a helicopter pilot, a military aviator by profession, and I think God's been really kind. Have worn many a hats, been into many verticals of aviation, non-aviation, defense, into airfield perimeter security, as well as recently co-founded and run a electric vehicle two-wheeler manufacturing unit and sales something. And now, of course, getting back to our core expertise of aviation, looking at this industry as a new wing into the skies. Earlier, we would only look at aircraft, helicopter, and the kind of thing, but unmanned systems, let alone the military usage, now looking at commercial usage, and now relearning with the friends and uh, and colleagues in this domain, relearning the entire equation of aviation, and trying to again create the consortium like I mentioned in my little talk right now. Open to Naran sir.
Thank you. I'm Veteran Group Captain Narang. I'm Senior Fellow at Manohar Parrikar Institute for uh, Defense Studies and Analysis. I've been studying this sector for the last about 10 years plus. Uh, I think it is a love affair which started when I wrote my first book, India's Quest for UAVs and Challenges. Uh, I realized the potential of Indian drone sector, and I believe this drone sector can outperform information technology and automobile sectors, which are the pride of India, provided provided we realize its potential now and we do the course correction. So recently I authored a monograph, which I'll be talking when I come. But I really want to see India becoming a design, development, manufacturing, and export hub of drone technologies and services, and not services alone. That is my vision if we have to become a high technology, high value industry of the world. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, everyone. When we talk of the unmanned aircraft system, or the drones as we know it, it's an amalgamation and integration of various technologies. Right now in India, we have the capabilities in some areas, but there are capabilities in some areas where we are not yet there. If we have to develop world-class systems, and means since there are various subsystems on it, there are some of them we are okay with it, some of them we need to build quite a bit. Since Group Captain Narang is perhaps the best person to speak on this particular subject because he has extensively written about it. Now, I have also gone through some of his articles, and I would request him to share his views first.
Thank you. Can you share the presentation? Can I have the presentation? No, he is to display it here, not for me. But presentation लगा दीजिए. Okay, thank you. I wrote this author monograph. It is available online. I want you to go through it, punch the holes, and come back to me. It's very important to understand. Here in this monograph, I try to, we read a lot about civil military fusion, but I want to make it a reality in the drone sector. Keeping that aim in mind, I did extensive research on this, and I would like you to understand, normally in the world we talk of civil military fusion, but I named it a military civil technology fusion. Now, why do I say military civil technology fusion is because all drone technology initiatives have been done by the military and not by the civil. And I don't want the policy integration. I want the technology integration. You ask a technologist, he will tell you his pains. So I understood the pains of that technologist who's trying to develop a technology. And I wrote this. And I genuinely want to see India becoming a high value high technology drone hub of the world. This is Prime Minister giving various milestones and goals, but how to make it reality became a challenge for me. And I will not dwell more on it, but I want to ensure whatever he says or whatever our leadership says, what we need to do as a country to make it realize this larger game. So I cover this in four major aspects. Policies, remember, I'm saying civil, military, drone initiatives and challenges. So when I said initiatives and challenges, I'm looking at the policy, I'm looking at the technology development, I'm looking at the ecosystem, and lastly, the military civil technology fusion. So I think it's a new term we are going to create in the world. So instead of civil military fusion or military civil fusion, we are going to create a term military civil technology fusion, because that is going to be the future of India. Atmanirbharta, again, if you look at all these initiatives, they are led by the military and they're not a single initiative in the civil. So this is just to indicate what is lacking and why it is a one-sided affair and what we need to change this. Excuse me. So I want you to understand, it is not to give you information. I can dwell on these by itself for some time, but just to highlight the point. Uh, Here I will spend less time, but I'll tell you, even in the military, there are challenges. The short range UAV or Rustam 1, it has a proven airframe, proven propulsion system. It's got an automatic takeoff landing. It has got a satellite communication being integrated. It has got some Indian sensors. And yet, we don't have a plan for its induction. It's a TB2 class of drone, which people have spoken a lot about it, and we are not able to induct. So it means we have the potential, but we are not translating that knowledge or the basic hard work into a operationally useful product. So we are there, but we are not there. Always it happens, we produce the prototypes and then we end it. I don't want this to happen. So we can have a deliberation more detailed on it, but just to highlight some of these points. Similarly, we have a Tapas program, Archer, Hail. Hail, we have not even defined it. I'll give this. Uh, a remotely piloted stealth aircraft. After few years, we will say these programs took very long. But today, when they are working, when they are doing, we are not analyzing what is going wrong. It is, if we want to succeed tomorrow, we have to analyze them today. So I've done it in my paper. Please read it, and then you revert to me. I'll tell you the issues. Similarly, engine, IC engine, turboprops, subsystem. I'm not getting into it because it's a subject by itself. Uh, Most important part of operationalizing drone operation in a legal way and in a technologically acceptable way is form a UTM. Now here I am showing a sample of military UTM, but similarly we need a civil UTM. And world over, the initiatives have been led by the civil aviation industry. So this is just to indicate that the way we need a civil UTM, similarly we need a military UTM. UTM is UAV traffic management system. So when we look at the drone entrepreneurs sitting here, they are going to reach a saturation. But before they reach, it is for us to ensure that we do the necessary technology validation initiative, if not development, to harness the potential of Indian innovators. So now I just come to my recommendations because I will take time for it. First, we need a national military civil technology fusion policy whose subset will be aeronautics and drone military civil technology fusion. And to implement it, we need a committee or the commission. Remember, in the China, this is headed by Xi Jinping himself. So that is the significance given to this in the leading countries. US has followed it in the past, so I'm not going to go into the history, but just to highlight that this is what is needed. Uh, so, first recommendation, form a nodal ministry for drone technology, and obvious choice should ideally be Ministry of Civil Aviation unless something else is there. Second, my recommendation is create an Atmanirbharta policy for civil drone. If you people have been following recent newspapers, there was a problem of critical components or our drones being hacked. That is because we are using critical imported components which have vulnerabilities. So I think we need to have a policy, then we need to have R&D structures, technology development initiatives, validation initiatives, mission fund, they are all subsets, so I'm not going to go into it. In details, we can discuss it. Indigenous design development certification policy. Today, you have an indigenous design. He's certified for airworthiness, but nobody says that this design is his, other than the your IP. Sometimes it becomes difficult, but there are mechanisms for validation. I think this is my policy recommendation. And second policy recommendation is design link incentive. Any entity which is designing in India, they should have a higher incentive than the production. So I don't want to discourage production, but I feel anyone who's innovating, he should have a higher incentive. Drone trial and data. Now remember, world over, when you look at Europe or America, they do trials, they collate the data and then form the policy. In our case, they form the policy and then we put a stamp on it. So I'm saying collate this data with all these youngsters who are, or our young entrepreneurs are flying, and then form the proactive policy so that we become at par with the global leaders. Otherwise, once you lag behind, it is very difficult. Recently, we came up with a policy on vertiports. Has any trial been done on it? If you had done the trial, you will know the logic of formulation of this policy, and tomorrow you can improve upon it. But if you have imitated the global players, then you will wait for it till they reform it. So my call for all the policy makers is proactively form the trial-based policy formulation mechanism if we have to take India to the next level. Testing sites, corridors, component standards, standardization are known to it, but we have to do it. One part about I'm little, I would really here I will put the industry leaders, the big players is they need to handhold more startups. I find our startups and MSMEs are struggling, and big players are just keeping quiet and they are waiting for something to happen. They need to invest with promising sectors. The way they get funding from abroad, why not our Indian big players are getting more forward? They are done, but they are done inadequately. Uh, Even I say role of private sector industry body in proactive trial-based formulation, I find there is no initiative. They do the events, they propose the policy recommendation, but they don't take the initiatives of proposing the trial-based policies, the way it is done in some of the leading countries. So I think that change is required, expected from industry bodies. And I also propose anybody who's designed in India, the GFR provision should be applicable for all ministries. Any design product, any ministry, when they go to buy, they should be given first preference to buy the products which are developed by IDEX or indigenously designed. And for that, that's why I had initially proposed indigenous design certification policies. I also propose R&D structures in DMA, headquarter IDS, defense forces. They have indigenous design certification policies. The equipment trial should not be repetitive. Once they have done it, it should be acceptable by all the defense forces, paramilitary forces. Once trial should be enough to be accepted by all to reduce cost of Indian startups. Indigenous consent certification based on trial software and hardware should be formed. Uh, these are nitty gritties. The last most important part is what I am proposing is uh, L1 is a low cost, T1 is a high technology, IC1, indigenous content one. These three things, if we bring it in the procurement policies, we can do wonderful for the country. I will not go into these nitty gritties, so leave it that. This is just food for thought. I reviewed some of the papers. You can read it in your time. They will tell you what India needs to do in a progressive manner. Only 15 seconds more. Read about it. We can discuss it about. And last one is this is my paper which has analyzed Indian industry's limitations and proposed what we need to do it. It's a 2-year-old paper, but it is as applicable today as it was in the past. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, Narang sir has covered the topic extensively. To sum up, we are there, but we are not there. That is where we stand today. Now, in the context of the military civil technology fusion, that's a very relevant point. Now, military applications, when we are designing and developing unmanned aircraft system for military applications, the restrictions are the combat conditions. Whereas in civil applications, it's more to do with the regulatory restrictions. Now, since let me just put across the question to Squadron Chaturvedi to as to how much should we collaborate with global companies to develop indigenous systems so that we become Atmanirbhar at some point in time?
Of course, there is a large emphasis that we are placing on indigenous development. But wherever it is developed, I'll again get back to the domain I know the best about, let's say military aviation. The fact that Igor Sikorsky developed the helicopter in US, it didn't mean that we stopped using the technology, we stopped using the equipment. It's just that we picked it up from there and started learning ahead of the curve from there on. So it's not that we started using the alouettes from the French in 1971 73 and we stopped learning from there. 20 years from then on, we have our own sarang. We have our own advanced light helicopter. We have our own Tejas coming up. So it's not that we haven't picked up the technology from whoever has built earlier. It's like started using Uber, but we didn't stop there. We are also doing Ola. Now we are also doing Swiggy. We are also doing Zomato. So that using somebody else's technology doesn't really hold your hands into developing your own. So there is no harm in learning from someone who's already learned and then start learning ahead of the curve. We all have done that. It's not that initially when we were using televisions, weren't we buying from somewhere else before building your own LCDs? And we were using CRTs. Before you had your own television, weren't we using community TVs? किसी एक के घर में बैठ के 25 लोग देख लेते थे. No. And then we started moving ahead of the curve as time shifted. It's not that we stopped right there. So there's no harm. I personally feel there's no harm in picking up a technology when somebody's already put in great efforts and then we start building up from there on and do your own thing thereafter, evolve with your own ecosystem, own climate, own technology, own resource availability, own utility uses, cost curves, and then do your own thing. But there's no harm in learning from whatever somebody else has developed.
Brilliantly put, learning ahead of the curve. In fact, that is something which is so very pertinent. Like, this is a complex technology. I worked on the Israeli systems, and when I compare the things which lot of things are there which are being used, actually we are nowhere. And if you have to perform well, or if you have got the global ambition of becoming a global hub by 2030, then we need to raise the bar. If you have to raise the bar, means one of the ways to do is get hold of the technologies which are good, learn from it, and thereafter develop. Now, if you just take the case of ALH, the Advanced Light Helicopter, means that is best in class in the world. No other aircraft in that category can perform in Siachen. Nobody. But incidentally, the avionics of that system was upgraded by Israeli aerospace industry. Thereafter, it went to a different level altogether. The point what I'm trying to say is that collaboration does help. Now, coming to Ms. Das, his views on incorporating global technologies for Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Great. Um, so I'm going to specify on the domain. I know that's the LiDAR domain. Um, in 1960s, LiDARs were out. 2000, adoption by civil society was started. the pricing of LiDAR has gone down over the years because we learned from the technologies and the sensors came down from $100,000 down to $8,000. Now the cheapest 3D LiDAR is around $500. And still we don't have it in India, but now what we do is that we've learned from different companies how they utilize these LiDARs. Like ma'am really correctly said, that you have to think ahead of the curve. Most companies internationally were providing you one solution. And we thought, why not one thing for everything? Because that's how it should be. So why can't you use a LiDAR which could go on a car, on your back, in your hand, put it on drone, on water, and even underwater? So that's what we set out to do 7 years back. And it's taken 7 years for us to develop a product. There was a lot of hindrance in terms of technology, availability of technology to build this. But for example, one of my computers, it has 4 LAN ports and, 4 PoE LAN ports, that is driving 4 cameras, and 2 LAN ports to drive 2 LiDARs. So there are 6 ports in a computer which has to be about 30 centimeters by 5 centimeter, right? And that goes into the machine. We went helter-skelter around India how to develop it, and we did. We made the design in India. We got different people from different sectors come in and design it. But then how to implement it? How to get this design into a hardware piece and get it to your hand? And that's where we failed, right? And we went to different PCB companies to design this, a lot of guys in Bangalore. It was very difficult for us to get hold of this particular technology without which we couldn't make anything. But yeah, we did certain part of it. We inbuilt the SIM card ourselves. We inbuilt the Wi-Fi's. The ports we couldn't do, but the Intel processor system, we did it in India. So what we did was we took certain parts from outside, integrated Indian parts to it, and made it semi-Indian imported stuff. And now we are having people in Hyderabad which are helping us build this computer further, right? It's a startup. It takes a lot of effort. It takes money for us to do things. Every time we go ahead and try and develop something, it's cost. I blew up my first LiDAR. It used to cost me $20,000, and it just blew up in front of my face. And then as a startup, you think, oh, where do I get the next funding from? We are bootstrap people. We don't take, I don't know, few take investor money, few are bootstrap. It's very difficult for us in an environment if we are not helped by foreigners, at least to get the base of the technology. But once we get the base, we must do our thing. And I really completely agree with you on that part. So Atmanirbhar Bharat is you have the technology built. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Take that technology and make it useful for ourselves. That's what I feel Atmanirbhar Bharat should be.
Perfect. Take that technology and use it for us. I think that's hitting the nail on the head. Now, Neeraj has been into the design and development of the unmanned aircraft systems itself, so he is well aware of the technological complexities associated. Now, if we talk of unmanned aircraft systems, now I'm not talking of small little drones. The thing is that there are various subsystems. Like, for example, in military subsystem, in fact, the UAV, which is one of the subsystem, which is the airborne component. Then you have the data link, you have the software, you have the ground control system. And in most military systems, the data link is the #1 priority subsystem. The design of that is much more complex. Now, if we look at the entire subsystems, Neeraj, I would like your views. Where do we stand in each of these subsystems?
Thanks. Okay, so before coming to this question, I have a different perspective, and I would like to take the discussion which has happened till now. Technology exchange itself is not bad. So I have a different perspective of this, saying that there is a saying called the happiness when shared gets doubled or tripled. I will say technology is such that if you share the technology, its value only increases. So if you have best technology, you built on top of that, its value only increases. But only one thing when you're doing the technology exchange, you have to take care of the 3 parts. the intent should be the right. Are you doing the technology exchange for person to purpose of being lazy? Are we are failing to do innovation and are just trying to find a shortcut? Are your processes are right? Are you following the right thing? Are you just getting into something smuggled or something doing the shortcut just to meet the immediate need? A third thing, are you doing with the right people? Sometimes you are doing the technology transfer or technology exchange. Are you doing with the right people? Sometimes your geopolitical situation may not allow. So these three things, if you take care, the technology exchange policy or technology exchange with the right intent, the right process, and with the right team, it multiplies its value. So there is nothing wrong in this. Coming back to the particularly to the UAV industry, if I see, as rightly told, I am finding the component system seriously we are lacking. And then if you really want to be the Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think the technology part if we are getting from outside, we have to build on the top of that. We can't use it for the wrong intent, making it a shortcut measure to just meet the immediate need. Because your geopolitical situation will keep changing. Today, maybe your friends, maybe the tomorrow your enemy, or today your enemy, maybe your friend. So till you don't have the your in-house R&D capability, till you don't have your in-house talent capability, until you don't have the right intent, you will not able to meet the changing scenario. So that's my fear from this perspective. Now I coming back to the I just wanted to do from the right people. If you are doing the technology exchange, I have been part of some government to government technology exchange in the DRDO. You have to be very careful two things. First thing, are you getting the obsolete technology? Are you getting the technology which are getting obsolete in the next few months, few years, or something? Are we getting the technology which is holistic? Are you getting technology which part of it we are getting, and for rest part to make it operational you have to pay from your nose? Are you getting the right intention? As I rightly told, the purpose of the technology transfer should not be your permanent dependency on that country. Some point of time you have to think, when can I de-risk my supply chain or my the technology dependency on that. So that's come from my experience, what I have seen, and so that's where I like to comment my.
Build, take technology and build upon that. Not means spot on. See, unless we develop in-house R&D capability with the right intent, with a long-term perspective, maybe we will not progress in the right direction. Now we have already Mr. Katyal, he is from the industry. My question to you is that where do you see, means how do you find yourself in the gambit of Atmanirbhar? How much is the reliance from outside and how much is in-house?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for providing me this opportunity to speak. First of all, as an entrepreneur, I would like to put up what do you mean by Atmanirbharta? Atmanirbharta will come only when the entrepreneur will get the confidence from the government and the policy makers. We, as an entrepreneur, face a lot of challenges. Sorry, I'm taking challenges as a subject here because yes, we as an entrepreneur we face a lot of challenges from the system. The compliances are so harsh. When you talk about startups to come up, to when we talk about MSMEs to design something to work on. So Atmanirbharta will come only when we will be able to give them some confidence and ease of doing business. Uh, जैसे अभी सर ने बोला कि technology transfer, technology transfer, there, I know a lot of startups which are ready to do the technology transfer, but are not able to do it just because they don't know the laid down procedures. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what are the compliances. So, single window solutions are the best way to, encourage the entrepreneurs for this Atmanirbharta.
So this is like I am. This is my point of view for the challenges what the startups and the MSMEs are facing. Thank you.
Uh, I tend to agree with him since I interact with a lot of startups and entrepreneurs. There are numerous challenges, and probably one of the issues is that means the ecosystem's understanding of the unmanned systems is actually very poor. Sometimes I have to remind people, like, means if you are developing a good military system, it is more expensive than a Mercedes. Now, can you expect to develop a Mercedes from a scratch in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time? No, it takes time. But of course, Atmanirbharta, we are on a learning curve, and I'm sure that as we progress ahead, things will improve. Now, my question to the last speaker in the panel, Anas, Mohammed Anas. Again, the same question means, where do you find yourself, like, with respect to the Atmanirbharta in terms of components and subsystems?
Thank you. Thank you for wonderful opportunity to speak about this Atmanirbharta topic and IDDM. So, as Sarav asked, where do we find ourselves in this Atmanirbharta? I find us or the people, a startup uh, in the entire space in a multiverse right now, or with the inception of problems surrounded by different layers. So, let's say I'll talk about, let's say, IDDM, indigenously designed, developed, and manufacturing. So, you want us to indigenize of the design, develop, and then manufacture. Now my question is, for like, for what? Okay, for government, at what scale? Few. At what cost? Cheap, cheaper than China. Okay. Or how fast? Tomorrow. Okay. We are very good, so I'll give you 3 months. Okay. And what about POC? You do NCNC. And who is going to pay? Your investors. Why are they going to get the benefit? No, you figure out yourself. Okay, let's figure out, can we get a loan against it? No. Okay, so what we can do, do we have money in our pocket? Yes. Few. Can we put it? Yes. Are we sure that we are going to get return on it? Maybe. How many such things we have done in past? A lot. What is the outcome? None. So do we have to do again? Maybe. Is there any other option? No. So this is where I am right now. I'm sorry if I have put it differently, but thank you. I, I used to had a discussion with a lot of people, my friends of the drone industry, and most of the time we used to discuss this problem. मतलब मुझे नहीं पता, हम लोग स्टेज पे बहुत अच्छी अच्छी बात करते हैं, बट जब हम बैक एंड पे बात कर रहे होते हैं हम लोग रो रहे होते हैं बुरी तरीके से. अभी आई वॉज क्राइंग विद फ्यू पीपल बैक डोर बैक स्टेज, एंड वी वर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द सेम थिंग कि ऑर्डर कैसे हैं, ठंडा पड़ा है. मतलब बहुत रॉ. और पास्ट क्या था, क्वार्टर का परफॉर्मेंस क्या है, इन्वेस्टर्स की एक्सपेक्टेशंस क्या हैं. ठीक है. And we are young technology people. We are not financiers or a billion dollar thing. And this problem, why we are in this problem, I have a clue. I don't have the solution, I don't have the right reference, but I have a clue. I'll give that. We as a country is aided with such things in past. I take an example of Jio. हमें एक फ्री में डेटा सिम यूज़ करने को मिल गया और फिर हमें उसकी लत लग गई. अब हम चाहते हैं हमें हर नई चीज़ ऐसे ही मिले, हमें हर एक नई चीज़ ऐसी मिले फ्री में 6 महीने साल भर. जब हम उसे पूरा एग्जॉस्ट कर चुके हों तो हम थोड़े बहुत पैसे दे दें और जो महंगा दे रहा था वो भी सस्ता दे दे, sort of thing. And this is we want to, for drone, I guess. So this is my assumption about the situation. And if you think of solution, I don't have the solution. I'm answering a lot of people right now, to stakeholders, to people, to team, and sometimes to government as well. They used to ask, what is the problem? This is the problem. How we can solve it? I don't know. Like, we have to solve on different layers. So the term I used, we are in a inception of problems in a multiverse situation. So it's very complicated. Thank you. Thank you.
I guess he spoke for the entire Indian unmanned system startup ecosystem. But I can't disagree with any single point what he's mentioned. But probably almost everybody, means all the stakeholders are aware of the problem, but unfortunately, we are yet to find any solution to this problem. Hopefully, someday something will happen. Now, let me throw open the forum to the audience to answer any question. Sir, please.
Sorry, Chair, taking little thing. There are few points when everybody was mentioning came to my mind. The first question thrown by Chair was, how do you collaborate with global partners? So, Skanda Prerna mentioned about ALH program. So, I'll give you two examples, contrasting examples, so that you understand what to do and what not to do. We made 600 MiG-21s, and not one was a better variant than the past. Every upgrade was done with the help of Russia. And that was also a collaboration. It was a transfer of technology. So every transfer of technology does not lead to growth of your industry. And we also had a collaboration in LCA and ALH, light combat aircraft and advanced light helicopter. But the difference, and when we started ALH, first aircraft faced a lot of problems. Remember, there was a lot of criticism of ALH. If you go back to the newspapers 10 years ago, people said it's a very waste of effort and all that thing. And today we have 400 plus aircraft, plus order of another 50 aircraft, and it is still in production. 450 aircraft developed, designed, manufactured by India in collaboration with the partner. So you have to take the ownership of the technology, then only you benefit out of transfer of technology, not otherwise. I'll give you another example. We got a full transfer of technology of Avro in 1960. The first aircraft was also made in India by the Indian Air Force in Kanpur in 1961, in 1 year of transfer of technology. And we didn't build the future variants. And here we have made a ALH. It took 30 years, lot of criticism, and today we developed an advanced light helicopter, light utility helicopter, a single engine variant, and a light combat helicopter within a period of 10 years. First one took 30 years, second is 10 to 15 years. Imagine the progress we made with perseverance and taking the ownership of the technology. So you understand that every transfer of technology will not make you great unless you know which technology you want, unless you have a roadmap to leverage that technology for future. Second part came leapfrogging. You do whatever leapfrogging, but when engine has to go undergo testing, you need a high altitude testing altitude. Our Kaveri engine has to go abroad 10 times because we don't have a high altitude testing. So you have to create an ecosystem to make those projects successful. You have to have a civil testing sites to make Indian drone industry successful. So you have to understand the nuances of where you intervene. Ownership and support. Many startups, Anas was mentioning, why is he failing if he's developed a product? Because support does not end at the prototype or the funding you provided at the IITs or the incubation center. Support also means that you have an enabling provision that the technology developed by him is procured by the all ministries, and no such imported product goes when you have an indigenous technology. Now it can be done in various ways. He's crisp in his problem, but the solution is with us. So when I want you to read this policy papers which I have written and analyze why, if we have a talent sitting on this panel, if he's making a lidar, why we are not able to leverage. If you are able to understand, if all of us start thinking, somebody will listen to us. So understand that part. I also urge you to be look out for a special edition on Atmanirbharta in transport aircraft, Atmanirbharta in defense manufacturing, a Journal of Defense Studies. The next special edition is coming in the next month, where some of these people have contributed how India can improve. Look out for it, read these, and find your own answers. We need to work how to succeed in this run. It's a very promising sector. There is a software manufacturer. I know many people sitting in this hall or who are outside, they have the potential. And it's our responsibility to make them successful. Thank you.
I will open the house for the questions.
Congratulations to the panelists, especially scholar leader Prerna ji and group captain Dr. Narang Saab and other panelists. It's a very enlightening session. I would like to add to whatever you have said. Indigenization is very, very important. Unless you have your own product, you cannot win a war. If like your supply chains can be blocked, your technology can be denied. So it is very important to embark on indigenization. Like Scott Pirachadar said, you must get something in hand, then build upon that. So that's most important. Now coming to few things which I have addressed in my talk. See, the software is an aspect which is neglected in UAVs. It is a very, very important aspect. In fact, software is everywhere now. Earlier, we used to say that software cannot exist without hardware, but it's the other way around now. Hardware cannot exist without software. IoT is there. So we need to think, in depth about software and certification and its airworthiness, because airworthiness is not only of the hardware, it is software also. I had a talk with my friend in software I&V. He has done software I&V for a company in drone company in Chennai. He says people are not aware they cut and paste some code and put it in the UAV. He said 5 lakh lines of code is put in a small UAV which is not required. You need just about 1,000, 2,000 lines of code. So we need to sensitize the industry for this. And next thing is, like Anis said, there are a lot of pains in the startups. They are drowning. I would say governments they take up government projects, so many projects. The orders are coming through, but payment doesn't happen. So because we need to build an ecosystem, as I mentioned, ecosystem is like you put a seed, the nature takes care of that. There is a water, there is earth, soil, water, sunlight, nitrogen, everything is given by the environment. So we have to create an environment which is conducive for the drone industry. But the environment now is killing the industry. It is not, aiding and growing the industry. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
So, one thing I want to highlight is that earlier Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he tried his best to create one Windows system, and till now we are not able to do it. Secondly, I am not a technical fellow. I am an ex-army officer. I know little bit about drone. So we have two main thing is one is camera and the sensors. What I know is that cameras are basically from Japanese technology. So most of the people are saying that we should have our own technology. So I don't know if we can, have this camera system being produced in-house in India. That's all.
So just to add on to Narang sir, what you were saying, when we develop a indigenous technology, we have to take the ownership of that technology. So ownership not only comes on the success side, it is also the ownership of the failures. Why this struck my mind was we built the ALH and we started flying the uh, aerobatic team of sarangs of the ALH, and there were that time there were only three helicopter aerobatic teams across the world. During the final day, just one day before the aero show at Bangalore, I've been a live witness of the Cat 1 fatal crash of the ALH right on the runway. Bang on. Bam.
Hello.
So that is when the entire squadron and the entire technical team is built up. Group Captain Verma is right here in front. I'm sure he knows it backwards. Oh my God. Then you got to take the complete ownership of the failure, whether it was a human error or whether it was a technical error. So it is not only the manpower, skilled manpower, unskilled manpower, the ground crew who were looking after the engines, propellers, or the development team or the R&D team or the manufacturing team. everybody collectively gets slammed. From there on, we have seen the ALH lift up, like you said, 600 all across. Now we are not only manufacturing, selling it, and then the aerobatic display. Instead of getting it coming to a full stop after that Cat 1 fatal crash right on the tarmac, the team did the aerobatic display all across the world into the thick of the domain of the masters of this game, right in the Berlin, right in Cambridge, right in Singapore, right into the US. Name the works. So that's like complete ownership of the technology yourself. The ones that we've picked up ahead of the curve, like the Alouettes. Again, I've seen Group Captain Verma handle this. You've changed the engine of the Alouettes, and when you do that, you do it with the indigenously developed engine to take up the ownership yourself. What happens in that case? You lose the warranties and the service support offered by the OEM. Do you really care for that warranty and service support by the OEM 25 years later or 50 years later? Why don't we take up the responsibility of the ownership? And as and when that reckons, again, like I mentioned in my little talk, the congregation, convergence of technologies when it comes together, that also has to come through congregation.
Otherwise, very long the day. Okay. Sir.
When Prerna told me about that, I was the technical officer there. We saw the dead body, and everybody was frightened. That we will not fly ALH. This is a killing machine. This used to be called a killing machine. This name was given by us. It's a killing machine because killing and always leaking helicopter. Its name was not ALH, Advanced Light Helicopter. It was always leaking helicopter, but it used to fly with a lot of oil leak and all. But see today, sir brought out more than 400 helicopters we have built, and it's our name. Yes, HL has built or India has built those 400 helicopters. And after that first fatal number of fatals, when pilot said we may not fly, like this was a thinking coming, na, the killing helicopter. You won't believe. My CO, commanding officer, used to tell me in the early morning session when we will walk in the morning. He'll say, "यार ये क्यों डरता है?" Wright brothers have given their lives and all. It's a first indigenous helicopter which is you see ना. बहुत दिनों से इंतजार किया, सालों से इंतजार चल रहा है इस जहाज का. HL कोशिश कर रहा है, इंडिया कोशिश कर रहा है. ये एक लाइफ से डरना नहीं है. कुछ कौन से हेलीकॉप्टर में जरा से भी प्रॉब्लम है, यू टेल मी, आई यूज टू फ्लाई, आई वुड फ्लाई दैट हेलीकॉप्टर. At least in 15 displays, before displays, helicopter was changed and commanding officer himself came, I will fly. Don't really report this thing, this snag, and I will myself will fly. So this was the courage required by our pilots. And when we lost our life, the next day early morning, we were shouldered our colleague. And just after that, 10 o'clock, again pilots were flying same display because we were to showcase our capabilities, actual capability in our aero show. 2nd February, this crash has happened, and 8th February, we were again showcasing entire world that we can again fly. So don't get disheartened with only commercial money or 3 years. 3 years only, I think, drone mein. 2 to 3 years we have spent, 4 years maximum. So they are 30 years ka journey, so many lives. Look at those ladies, look at those kids. Just like, but next moment within 3 hours, pilot are again flying same thing. And commanding officer calling everybody, don't get disheartened. And this is the routine in our squadrons. Whenever any fatal accident takes place, next day commanding officer calls everybody with family at home, and we have again whatever tea, snacks, and all. That's only just to get the this is not the end. Just get the feeling this is not the end. Next day again with double Josh, we will fly, and that keeps us going. So never get disheartened. यार indigenization matter है, चलता रहेगा, कोई बात नहीं. Don't worry. One day we'll see this drones flying. ठीक है? चल, thank you.
सर डिसहार्टन होने के लिए जो बात कर रहे हैं आप, उस केस में मैं आपको एक चीज बोलना चाहूंगा एज ए एंटरप्रेन्योर.
सर आपकी बात ही बोलने वाला हूँ. बिना पैसे के सर ना, बिना भूखे पेट है ना, पूजा नहीं होती। सर वो बात सही है आपकी, लेकिन सर डिसहार्टेंड नहीं है, वी आर नॉट डिसहार्टेंड, बट लाइक ही सेड इफ ही डजंट हैव मनी, तो मनी के बगैर तो कोई आप इन्वेंशन
Okay,
या
I
कुछ
think
कर
we
ही नहीं
can
सकते ना।
carry this discussion for the
ठीक
evening.
है, तो as far as HAL is concerned, HA or DRDO is concerned, they are getting the taxpayers' money to develop something. सर लोन तो मिल नहीं रहा ना।
Sir, I think we can leave. Please, we will have this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. But while summing up, let me just give you my own experience. Uh, I was trained in the Israeli aerospace industries. Their unmanned systems are reasonably complex and the best in the world class. The GCS is developed by Israeli aerospace industry. The UAV is developed by the Israeli aerospace industry. The communication system is developed by Tadiran. The payload, the optical payloads are developed by a company called Tamam. There is a company called ELTA which develops the data link and the radar payloads. The point is they have created pockets of excellence. You can't be the best in everything, but if you collaborate together, the best, if they collaborate together, then you can become the best. For example, we have means our own people developing, say, LiDAR. Means supposing 10 or 50 companies give the orders to him, the first product may not be to your satisfaction. But once he has the money to develop more, I'm sure that the quality will jump. The point is collaborate. Don't, everybody should not focus on the same thing. This system is very, very diverse. Have your own pockets of excellence, you will do well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the patience. Jai Hind.
So I would like to add my last penny. I mean, since yesterday whole day I was observing all the entrepreneurs' pain. Manas, you have answered the questions, the right questions, whatever you answered, no, about that whole day. In the evening also we were discussing, and today also I got the same questions. Here in this ground, I mean this closed room, there are two categories. One is good entrepreneurs, good-hearted, strong defense persons who are there to give us courage. And you, being an entrepreneur, we are also, I mean, like he's a strong entrepreneur as well as a defense shop. So it's a really very good talk discussion today. And in the same way, I really thank you, Prerna ma'am. And it's a very good discussion in comparison to yesterday because it was completely open discussion. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. And let's have a huge round of applause for that wonderful session. And I request all of you to kindly be there on the stage for just another minute. I would like to call Dr. Pranay Kumar on the stage to present a token of appreciation to all our wonderful panelists. And along with that, I would like to also call A.V. Joshi sir and Rahul Jain sir on the stage to join us. Can we have you on the stage? All right, so we also have Wing Commander Punia here as well. So can we have you on the stage, sir? Right, everyone can join us for a group picture on the stage. If all of you would come.
you, sir.